Welcome to another episode of the UMB Footy Podcast. I am your host, Ulysses. Alongside me, I have Matt and Beato. Round of 32 is here, baby. We're going to go match by match, break them down. Lads, what are we thinking? How are we feeling?
Man, there's some exciting stuff. Some of these matchups I can't wait. It's kind of a double-edged sword though, because for every Netherlands Morocco match you have an Australia Egypt match, which but regardless, it's knockout football, it's the World Cup, so it doesn't get
Yeah.
better than this, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch. Should be like this is what everyone's been waiting for, right? Because now it's winner go home. Now it's like you gotta leave everything on the pitch. No fucking tying. I guess you can tie, but it's gonna be decided later on in the game. But I think people are gonna start pushing forward a lot more. I hope.
Yeah, for sure. It's a winner go home, man. You gotta try now. There's no I get through on 3 ties.
Ridiculous, man.
That's
It's
crazy.
absolutely ridiculous.
Sorry, Cape Verde.
It's cinema.
We love you guys, but sorry.
Yeah, sorry. It's all right. It's all right. They made history. All right, we're gonna start off with our first match of right side of the bracket, but Brazil versus Japan. Japan go through, advancing second in their group. Um, Japan were second in their group. Brazil versus Japan. Brazil goes through first on their side of the group. Brazil has been looking good. As soon as they made that swap with Matheus Cunha, bringing him as striker, everything has been solved. They're looking good. They're firing on all cylinders. Rafinha is still part of the training camp. He hasn't come home to Barcelona yet. He wants to be there. So we'll see how his hamstring injury goes. I think Brazil are looking great. I think Vinny Jr. is looking like back in, like, what was it, 2 years ago when he had his Ballon d'Or shout?
Mhm.
Matt, what are we thinking?
Yeah, so the lineups for this match are actually out as we're recording it, and Ryan is starting on the right wing. The youngster wonder kid from AFC Bournemouth is starting for Brazil on the wing in a World Cup knockout match. By the way, where this is a real sentence in the year 2026. That is a real sentence we are saying. But regardless, yeah. So lineups are actually out. It's a standard Paquetá, Casemiro, Guimaraes in the midfield, which I think has just been terrible. It's not good. It's just not a good midfield. But they don't really have any other options.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Japan is missing Takefusa Kubo, so I think this is a very exciting match. Although I think it might be a little bit boring, but for Brazil, what we've clearly seen is everything runs through Vinny, right? Every single thing runs through Vinny. It's get the ball and win the ball in the midfield, and try to progress at least towards like the halfway line, and then just feed it out to that left hand side, right? And let him do his work. Um, I'm not totally convinced on his fullback help from Douglas Santos. I think he should be making more overlapping runs and more inside cuts to try to help Vinny. But Vinny doesn't seem to be having a problem with it because he's doing everything on his own. So this should be a really good match. And I can't wait to watch this personally. What about you, Beto?
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is gonna be a great matchup. I feel like Japan, they played some really nice ball. I mean, I enjoyed watching them play in the group stages, and I'm curious what they can do to get past this Brazil. I would say stonewall defense in the middle on the outside. They're a little weaker. They have some age and they have experience there, but the age and the athleticism maybe isn't all there, and maybe Japan could capitalize on that. Like you said, Kubo's on the bench, so I think their most explosive player is him probably, and I think him being on the bench might be a hindrance, but because he was injured, but yeah, I'm not too impressed with the Brazil midfield either. So I've been saying this in the start. I don't think Casemiro should be starting. I'm not. I don't know. I'm not impressed by him.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he's going to MLS. He's not at that level
Yeah.
anymore.
And he did have a really good season at Man United this year. Like he
Yeah.
almost had like a bit of a resurgence year this year, but at the same time, you kind of feel like that's probably it. Like that's probably
Yeah.
the last peak that he's gonna have. Just one more final like kind of push. But what I do think is interesting is what kind of role does Neymar play in this game, right? Because he's back, like he's playing, but he's on the bench again. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if he still has that ability to come off the bench and be a difference maker. Almost like a super sub. If it's tight, if it's a 1-1 game in the 80th minute, does Don Carlo bring him on, and does he go out and produce a moment? Right, every other star in this World Cup is here. It seems like Erling Haaland's here, Mbappe's here, Harry Kane is here. CR7 is not here, but is he really a star anymore? We'll get to that later. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is Neymar's moment. You know, in a game like this, it's gonna be tight. You know, it's gonna be contested.
Mhm.
So I'm super excited to see if he comes on and if he shines or if he flops. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we're touching on this midfield, but that's what they got. There's not producing creative midfielders like that. They're producing great wingers, but in that creative midfield, there's nobody else. And something you touched on is in that 90th minute, in that 80th minute, who are you bringing on to create? Take a look at this Brazil bench. It's not deep. You you're looking to your bench. Who am I going to bring in to create? You got your options are either Endrick or Neymar.
Right. And I think in a situation like
Not
that,
much.
if I think in a situation like that, if it is tied late in the game, what Carlo Ancelotti's probably gonna do is take one of the winger, probably Ryan, drop
Mm.
Cunha into the 10 role and then put Endrick on or something
Mhm.
along those
Yeah.
lines. Basically just swap out Cunha or swap out a midfielder for a striker and then just put
Yeah.
Endrick at the 9 and drop Cunha to the 10. So that's what I think is going to happen. I don't see a world where Brazil plays any match without Mateus Cunha anymore. I think he is kind of becoming the next best, like the next most important player to Vinny. So it's, you know, he's going to be crucial if Brazil make a run. That's for sure. Without
Yeah.
Rafinha, of course, this just got a hell of a lot harder for Brazil.
No.
Yeah, no, I think you look at Ancelotti and what Ancelotti has played in his past and how he likes to play. I think he's not afraid though to kind of just huff in the big guy and say throw balls in the box, bring in Igor Thiago. We're struggling, kind of like that Jose Lu role that played back in his
Madrid.
last Madrid hurrah. Throw him up front,
Yeah.
throw balls up to the box, and let's see what we could do. Let's create something and just kind of like balls to the wall at that
I know the
point.
perfect striker that they could have used for that, but they
No,
didn't. But they didn't
no,
bring him.
no,
They
not
didn't bring him in the
Pombo.
squad.
No,
I know the
he
perfect striker they could have used in a scenario like
no
this, where it's it's
Pombo.
crunch time and you need something to happen. Just huff it up to a certain someone, but they didn't bring him. So hopefully
Pombo
they
did
don't
not
regret
make it.
that. They don't regret not bringing no
I
Pombo.
don't think he's been sitting and being like, man, I think I missed a guy. I think they would have brought João Pedro over Big Pombo at this point.
But that's the thing is people were saying after the Morocco match, people were this was a legitimate course of discussion that I saw on TikTok and Twitter is that they missed a player like Richarlison. I have not once during this tournament seen someone say that they missed a player like João Pedro. But it's
Yeah.
like seriously, two different styles of striker, right?
Yeah.
One of them specializes in like the grit and like the defensive type of
Mhm.
performance as well. The other one is a little bit more like creative, I guess. But I don't know. I think you're missing that kind of striker in Richarlison, where he's gonna just full sprint 100% of the time. He might 2 foot into a tackle, and he's gonna get under the opposite's skin. By the way, like he's gonna create problems. This guy can
Yeah.
go get a red card for the other team, But regardless, he's not on the squad, so I
Yeah.
think that they could have used him already. Hopefully, they don't need to have a player like that again during this tournament.
Yeah, that's fair. Uh a quick touch on Suzuki the keeper. I think he's had a pretty good tournament.
Oh yeah.
Coming in is playing his game over at Parma in Italy. But I think he's having a good tournament. A youngster, 23, might be on the move this summer to a bigger team. Depending how this Brazil games, this might be his make it game and get a bigger move maybe to a prem side. He's conceded 3 goals. It was one against Sweden.
It was 2
There
against the
was
Netherlands, and
two
there was a
against the
clean
Netherlands.
sheet
Yeah.
against Tunisia.
And so he's got 8 saves so far. He's looking decent. The saves he's making are like
Oh, yeah.
challenging saves,
Yeah, they're
challenging
good.
saves.
He
So
made some good saves.
youngster might be on the move. So that's good to
He's
see.
born in the U.S., right?
Born in the U.S.
Did he play
I
in
think
MLS or
in
no? I think
New-
he came out of a team,
no.
didn't he?
He came up at a Japanese academy,
Okay,
the
that's what it
Urawa
was.
Red
Yeah,
Diamonds.
born in the U.S. And then he's just been playing his game over in Japan, and then transferred over this 2 seasons ago, 24-25. Yeah, arrived to Parma in the 24-25 season. and has been playing there since.
I think this is the first time we've seen him starting, but Tomiyasu, I think this is his first start he's getting, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong.
I think you are correct. I think he's been coming off the bench. Yeah, this is gonna be his first start. No, he did start a match previous. I think he started either
The Tunisia game, I
the
believe.
Tunisia game.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Currently playing at Ajax. Good for
Yeah,
him.
former Arsenal.
Former Arsenal lad. Score prediction: Brazil versus Japan. Brazil has too much creativity for the Japanese. I think that Vinny Jr. will get the job done, and Neymar will come in and get his goal. I think Japan will put a good fight. I got Suzuki in the back making lots of saves, but at the end of the day, this Brazil team is just too much for them to handle. Give me a 2-1 win.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough match for Brazil. I think maybe a little bit closer than you anticipate. I actually see this game going to extra time. I think it'll be 1-1 at the end. I think Vinny is going to find it a little bit harder to get past the Japanese back line. That they're playing a sort of five at the back here, with Richie Dunn dropping back and helping Tomiyasu on Vinny's side. So I expect a little bit of a closer match. Go ahead and give me 1-1 at the end of full time, but go ahead and give me an Endrick winner in the 115 minute for Brazil.
Wow.
I'll go 2-1 Brazil as
Damn.
well.
He gets his redemption.
This is. I think this might be one of the closer games we see. I feel like Japan, like I think they're being like slipped on the way they play. Like I think they have a really good chance to like maybe make an upset, but I think ultimately this goes to extra time, and I think also Brazil wins in extra time. And I mean, give me a Neymar. I think Neymar goes in. He's the X factor, and give me a Neymar goal.
Next up, we have we got going down the list. We got Cote d'Ivoire versus Norway. Oof, what a match
Sheesh.
this will be. We got the Viking Army versus Nicolas Pepe, which is having a really good tournament.
Wow.
Nicolas Pepe went to Arsenal, got his big move to Arsenal, didn't do great, but like we touched on, that Arsenal team was not a great Arsenal team. It's not the Arsenal team that is now. Nicolas Pepe had to crawl so that this Arsenal team could run, and he had to get his move away. Playing his game at Villarreal now, and he's playing pretty decent football for this Cote d'Ivoire team. We got Yan Diamande, which I think is possibly on his move to PSG. I think he
Yeah.
came out and say that he wants PSG,
Yeah.
does not want to go to Liverpool, which is fair enough. But if he goes to PSG, that means that one of those guys got to go out because
I mean, they have a lot of talent already over there.
yeah.
Due,
There's no way they're all
Kvaratskhelia.
they're all happy though.
I think Barcola's on his way out this summer.
Definitely.
Yeah, I
But
think the
even
Diamante
then,
move
like-
will enable the Barcola to Liverpool move probably.
Even then, like he's still. I mean, he's still gonna be fighting for a spot because you got Desiree Doué on one side, and then you have Kvaratskhelia on the other, and and then they barely get play on the wings too. So like, I don't know, like they're gonna have to figure something out because I mean, if he's moving there, is he moving with the intention to be, one of the main guys, and especially the money that they're gonna shell out for him. That he's, they're gonna make him like part of the next project. So
Yeah, for sure. All right, Beto, take us away. This Cote d'Ivoire versus Norway game. Both of your dark horses, by the way. Meeting
yeah,
up.
they were both of my picks, but I think my main pick was definitely Ivory Coast, and I'm gonna stick with them. I think this is probably gonna be the best game of the knockout stage at least the round 32. There's still some bangers left to be played like later down the road, but for round 32, this is gonna be the banger. I think. I think Norway, after the rest of the other players, they wanted to get that second place spot. They were content with that. And now they're gonna come out, full force ablaze. They're gonna like come out hard, and Holland's not gonna make it easy for this pretty physical. Also, Ivory Coast team, they've been pretty sound in the defense. Their midfield's been surprising me. Sangare playing really good, Frank Kessié playing really good. And I mean, obviously they're former Barca. But yeah, their offense too. I mean, they've been firing on all cylinders. I mean, Yan Diamande was running circles against numerous teams outside backs, and then Nicolas Pepe is having a little bit of resurgence. I think he came off the bench the first game or second game, and now he started, and I think he cemented that starting spot. I think he starts here, and then You got the Man U guy, Mal Diallo. See what he can do. So
90th minute winner
yeah.
versus Ecuador.
But yeah, I mean Norway. I mean by no means should Norway be slept on either. They're a really really physical team, and I mean Holland. Like you see all the memes. Holland like you see Holland running at you. What are you gonna do? So this back line's gotta be careful because I mean they're pretty big too. They're pretty physical, but Holland is just different. Just different, man. He's
Yeah.
gonna score. He's gonna score some goals. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I think you touched on it best when we did our preview that if they find a way to feed him, this team is going to be looking crazy. And they have found a way to feed
Yeah,
him. He's currently tied for technically second place
yeah.
on the for the top Golden Boot goals, but they're finding the way to feed him. They're finding a way to get him the ball, and he's putting them away, just like he does at Man City. You find a way to feed him, and he's gonna finish them.
Yeah, he scores in
So
such weird spots. Like he scores like his goals look so weird, but it just I think for him it looks natural just because he's so
yeah,
fucking athletic and stuff, and like he can like get into these weird positions and like be like the defender can be pressing him, but it won't matter. He'll still get his shot off. For
yeah,
some strikers, they're like the pressure's too much and they'll whiff their shot.
no, for sure. Matt, what you got?
I go the opposite, and all I got 2 words for you. It's Erling Haaland. This could be a great game. Obviously, both of these teams were kind of like previewed as dark horses. Ivory Coast were they were like my main dark horse pick. But I'm gonna go ahead and switch up on them. I think Norway. I think Norway wins this game. I think before the tournament, Norway's biggest thing was how do we enable Erling Haaland to play
Mhm.
to every single strength of his game? Um, and I think people, rightfully were concerned, are they going to be able to do this? A lot of times for national teams where there's really only one like star player, it's harder for the rest of the players to enable their one main guy. A lot of times you'll see that where one star player isn't being played to their strengths, but Norway have, like you said, found a way to do it. So um I have no worries about Norway's ability to break down the Ivory Coast defense, and then physicality is not a problem for these guys, especially when your striker is this big brute of a man, this big force of nature that is just full sprinting at you, all probably 200 some pounds of him, 200 some
six
pounds.
6'4", 200 some
Yeah, I
pounds,
mean,
bro.
it's just
Of all
terrifying.
muscle,
It's
all
just
muscle.
terrifying, yeah. And I know that, a lot of the style of play that we've seen from many of the African teams in this tournament is to just kind of sit, absorb pressure, and then hit on the counterattack a little bit. Ivory Coast have probably been the most forward progressing
Yeah.
team of any of the
Mhm.
African teams, though, and a lot of that has to do with Yan Diomande. But at the same time, I don't know if Yan Diomande can do it really on his own. I think he's going to need a lot of help from his midfield.
Yeah.
But as long as you have people like Martin Odegaard feeding Erling Haaland, I think it's too much. I think Norway have shown way too much quality in the group stage for me to kind of believe that Ivory Coast can do it. I felt like the way that they kind of just bullied Senegal was kind of the telltale for me that they can play on almost every single aspect of the game, right? Like they can play physical, they can play fast, they can play defensive if they need to. Like they kind of have all facets of the game covered. There's really not a huge weakness that I see. So I think Ivory Coast will get their chances and they'll probably score a goal, but I think Norway gets at least 3. So I would go 3-1 on this game.
I think, like Beto said, they have found a way to feed Holland. They have figured it out, but I don't know. I think ultimately that the creativeness that this Ivory Coast team brings with Diamande, Diallo, um, Frank Kessie, and like I think ultimately it'll be too much. I think there's going to be lots of goals in this. It might even go all the way into overtime. But I think ultimately I'm gonna side with the Ivory Coast on this one. I think this is as far as the Norway train goes. And I'm surprised, Matt. I'm surprised you're jumping off the African ship and going the Europe side. You're usually the vouch for these African teams.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to see them win this game. If they had maybe an easier tie, I would have said absolutely. But
yeah.
I mean, Norway have shown me way too much for me to not think that they're gonna lose this game. So
That's fair. Mexico versus Ecuador in the Azteca. Can it get any better for Mexico? I don't think so. I think this is a great match for Mexico. Mexico's going to come in. They've got a clean sheet against all three of their opponents. First host nation, I think, to go through with not conceding a single goal. I didn't believe in this defense coming in. I thought they would concede, but they're proving me wrong. Granted, the opponent they faced has not been the most prolific going forward. We thought that South Korea would do a lot better. They were not able to produce, and what they did produce, they were not able to put away. Hyunmin Sung had a stinker, and something I'd like to touch on at some point is all these like goats and like heroes of like teams just have come in and like failed in this tournament so badly. Like these guys are like playing their last tournament have done so badly and like left such a bad taste. Uzlera, freaking Hyunmin Sung, who else was thinking up the place? I think James Rodriguez has been stinking up the place. There's been so many like people, so many guys that have come in and like this is their last tournament, last hurrah, and they've just been stinking up the place. That's a side
Yeah.
note. Rangel has been having a decent tournament. He has made some decent saves. He's pulled his Memo Ochoa moment, pulling that goal straight off the line, and that was cinema. That was great to watch. With South Korea had that goal basically on the line.
Yeah.
Ended up pulling it out. Mexico has been having kind of this weird run where everything is just working for them. Everything has been falling into place for them, and every 50-50 chance seems like it's not 50-50. It's 51-49. We're getting those favorable drops. We're getting those favorable wins in midfield. We're getting those favorable bounces, and I just hope it keeps going, man. I don't want to lose any of it. Keep wearing your lucky shirts. Wear your lucky socks. Wear the same thing you wore that other game. Whatever thing you believe in, that keep it going, man. I think Luis Romo has come in to this team and kind of given us stability in that midfield. Brian Gutierrez has had a decent tournament. I think he looked shaky at the first on that first match, but I think he's kind of grown into it. I was a big fan of what was his Mateo Chavez, I think.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
left back they
Mateo
went in, yeah.
Chavez came in at left back bench. They benched Gallardo, and he had a great match. Not just because he scored the goal in the run,
Yeah.
but he overall looked better than Gallardo did.
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
1000%.
Quiñones has been kind of a player of the tournament for Mexico. He has been kind of at the helm of everything and just been producing for Mexico.
Yeah, no, I mean you hit on some good points, and definitely this defense has been stalwart. They've been I think the highlight of Mexico's group stage was their defense, and obviously the goalkeeper Rangel. I think like without them, Mexico would have been in a lot more tougher situations, but they've been playing really well. I mean, I mean, like you said before, we kind of questioned this defense going in, but now they're performing, as they should be, and I think like you were saying, Gallardo starting. I think Mateo Chavez made a really good performance. I think he's like won the hearts of a lot of people because I feel like his talent going forward is like I think it's something that Mexico can use. So even whether he comes off the bench or he starts, I'd love to see more of him. The midfield's been playing good, but we got it. Like this is the game where Mexico has to dig deep. They have to perform here, because from here on, it's like gonna be all like top 20 teams, like world champions. Like you're gonna play a lot of good teams that play a lot of good soccer, and you need to perform here because you need to show those teams that you're a team that's not to be taken lightly. I mean, and I think Ecuador is probably gonna be their first really big challenge. I mean, they have a really good defense, so first of all, it's going to be hard to unlock that. Casero has the potential to run circles around our midfield, and let's hope it doesn't get to that point. But I mean, they got Ender Valencia, so I'm not too worried about that. Stinker, still probably going to start. So, but I don't know. I think Mexico. This is going to be probably their hardest game, and probably one of the best games we're going to see them play. So, I'm looking forward to see what they can do. Because I mean, as of yet, I'm not impressed. They haven't delivered a world championship performance. Like so.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about for this game in particular. I think Mexico almost looks like they haven't gotten out of first gear yet. Like genuinely, it looks like they have played kind of at just like less than what they know they're capable of, and it begs an interesting point of like they kind of just coasted through the group stage, but they didn't really even have to try. Like it looked like they really weren't even trying, and they clean sheet in all 3 games. Won all 3 of them. Like, so I'm not too worried about Mexico. Honestly, I think everyone has seen how good they can be. And I would say the one caveat is I think the only time we've seen them get out of first gear in this tournament was the first 10 minutes of the South Africa match. They were flying the first 10 minutes of that match, and then Quinones scored that goal, and then they kind of just sat off a little bit, and they haven't really gotten back to that yet, but they haven't needed to. They haven't needed to do it. And then they rotated the majority of their lineup for the Czechia game. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Mexico at all. I think this kind of depends on what version of Ecuador shows up, but I think Ecuador's win against Germany was kind of a fluke. I think Germany was not they were not trying at all in that game. Germany kind of just didn't care. And then also I think an interesting note for Ecuador is news broke that I saw this morning that Ener Valencia has lost the captain's armband to Moises Caicedo now. So in my mind, that probably means he's not going to start anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that they may run with just Gonzalo Plata up top. Which if that's what happens, I think that is the best case scenario for this Ecuadorian team. It gives them the best chance of winning because Ener Valencia is obviously not playing very well at all. So I think Ecuador has a lot of talent, but I don't think have shown enough to say that they can play well together as a team. I do not think they're this well-oiled machine where all of the players have this sort of chemistry and understanding. And I actually think that Mexico's midfield is gonna run circles around Ecuador's. I think Lira, Romo, and Brian Gutierrez are probably like 3 of the best midfielders Mexico has had in a long time. Since you're talking about since like I don't know. I don't know who the last great Mexican midfielder was, but
Give me Guardado. Give me Torrado.
yeah, I guess like in like the 2010s era,
Yeah.
maybe. But
It goes
I
back
think
a minute.
yeah, I think this Mexican midfield is actually really good. And I think this will be another game where they don't really have to get out of first gear. I think they'll probably score within the first half an hour of the game, and I honestly see another clean sheet. I would say Mexico probably win like 2-0 in this match.
Yeah. I think just something else I want to touch on is Gilberto Mora got a start for that Mexico Czechia game, and I think he had a pretty decent showing. The stats sheet didn't show it, but visibly watching the game, he had an opportunity where he fed the ball through to Luis Romo, where he was in on goal. He ended up crossing it into the box, and it produced into nothing. But I think that's something that obviously doesn't get highlighted in the stats, but I think that's great vision. He gave it should have been assist to who was it? To Jorge Sanchez when he sent him that through ball in, and he's a right back. You don't expect him to put it away, but he ended up fluffing it, and the ball ended up bouncing in front of the goal, and that's when Quinones got his goal, and that was from a through ball from Gilberto Mora. So I think he showed a lot of brightness, which we knew he would coming in. I think El Machin came into that midfield. He looked great. It's good to see him back in that midfield, and it was nice to see that a lot of these guys are most likely going to be on the bench for this next game came in and played well. So we're able to kind of call on them possibly and be like, come in, do a difference. I don't know if Machin starts over Luis Romo, but we'll see. I think Quinones is a starter. I hope to see Mateo Chavez starting in that left back. I don't think it'll happen. I think Javier Aguirre is going to go for a more defensively sound and defensively proven. The kid is only 22, I think. Yeah, 22. He's a 22-year-old kid. I don't think he's going to put the pressure on him to start the match, but I think he gave a shout to come off the bench and be a creative outlet on the wing if we just can't seem to break down this this Ecuador team. But enough of me glazing Mexico for a bit. Ecuador, I think, they did what they needed to do to get out of the group against Germany. They finally got out of gear. I think Ener Valencia has to have blackmail or something on somebody in that Ecuador organization, because he should have not been starting game 3. He should have definitely been on the bench, and given what's the other lad's name?
Kevin
Kevin
Rodriguez.
Yeboah,
Kevin,
or-
yep,
yeah,
Kevin Rodriguez should be starting over him. I think the Ecuador team can produce. I don't think they're going to be able to. I think they're going to struggle against this Mexican side. Caicedo does have the ability to run around us, but I think we'll have enough defense, enough defense structure to be able to handle what Moises Caicedo can bring. I think this Ecuador team has failed to live up to the expectation and the hype that everybody thought around them, myself included. I thought they would have a pretty decent run and a decent showing, but they have not shown any of that. The Germany game was, I think, just a wash for Germany. They did come out with their, I believe, full starting 11 at the beginning of the match, but if I remember correctly, 50th or the 60th minute, most of those guys came off, and I don't think Germany cared enough to go out and try to win the game, or try to match the intensity that Ecuador was bringing. Ecuador was playing for their life, as to where Germany was just playing because they had to play. You're gonna get completely different efforts from lads that know that I'm through. This match does not matter to me. From guys that know that this is live or die for them. I think if Germany comes out and tries to win that match, they win that match comfortably. I don't think that Ecuador has as much fight as they did. So ultimately, I look forward to watching this game and living it all 90 minutes of it. And I think Mexico has been coasting, kind of like how Matt mentioned. They have been in that first gear. They haven't needed to get out of that second gear and out into second gear because comfortable defending. They feel so comfortable not having the ball and just letting the opposing side have the ball, come attack us. We'll sit, we'll defend, we'll hold, we'll be defensively structured to the point where it won't damage us, and it's working. It's gotten us this far. So who am I to doubt Javier Aguirre and the way he's playing this Mexican team? It might not be the game and the ball that all the Mexican fans want to watch, and they might want like a more attacking sided, but this is what's working. This is what has gotten us first in our group with no goals conceded. So why change the formula now? I think Mexico goes out, they win this game, and Azteca, and Mexico goes crazy. I don't think Ecuador has enough. If I had to give a score prediction, I think I like a 2-0. I think they keep their clean sheet. I don't think they have enough. Plata has been showing sparks, but I think ultimately it won't be enough. I think this team has not been able to figure it out yet. Beto, did you give a score prediction, or is there anything you'd like to add?
Honestly, yeah, I think this goes into extra time, and I think Mexico scores in extra time and wins.
Extra time, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like 0-0? We're going 0-0 into extra
Yeah,
time?
0-0 in extra time, and then Mexico gets
Oh,
their score. Gets a score in the extra time. Yeah.
I don't think so. England versus DR Congo, round of 32. I think Congo made it through with that game that they had against Portugal, but I think England, as much frauds as they are, as much as bad as they look with Saka at wing and Madueke, they still will have enough to get past this Congo team. Jude Bellingham has been playing way too good. Looking back, all the Madrid guys, by the way, have been playing like back when Ancelotti was still managing them, and like they won that last Champions League. They've been playing back to their previous form, so a little scary. It's a little scary to see, but that's a side note. Jude Bellingham has been playing a really good tournament. 2 goals and assists so far in this tournament. Playing that 10, playing more up front as he typically was playing back with Ancelotti. He's found his role for this England team. Harry Kane missed the sitter against Congo, but it wasn't his fault. It was the witch doctor. The witch doctor put it on him that he could not score, and I think Perry Payne comes in and he gets 2 goals and gets back in the Golden Boot race. This England team has way too much skill and talent going forward. Jude Bellingham is playing great. Harry Kane is putting them away. So I don't see them struggling too much against this Congo team. I think they have enough to go through. I think they put at least 2 past them and they move on to the next stage. Um,
Yeah, I think England have been somewhat blessed here with the bracket. Definitely not as blessed as Argentina, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But I think they couldn't have asked for a better matchup if I was England. I think they should have no problems here. I think although I do also think that they're a bit overrated. I think that they'll have no problems here. I think hopefully Luvumba Mea is able to get to this match. I mean, I was awesome seeing him against, I believe it was Colombia. But hopefully they let him into the country for this match. Otherwise, yeah, it should be a comfortable game for England. Go ahead and give me Perry Payne with a penalty. Go ahead and give me Marcus Rashford with another one. I'll go 2-0 as well.
Yeah, I mean England has too much just in their starting 11 too much talent and for this DR Congo team, and even their bench could probably beat this team, but you can't sleep on Yoana Wissa scoring 2 important goals for his country, and I don't know, I think he's a dangerous player, and I mean I think he can do something, but I mean these players all know him from the Prem, and I think they can get it done. So England's gonna win like 3-0.
all right. Then we move on to our next match is Argentina versus Cape Verde.
Argentina versus Cape Verde. Lionel Messi has never had an easier path to a World Cup final than he has now, and he starts with the little island nation from Africa. Ulysses, take me through your thoughts on this one.
Ah man, my goat pulling up and getting the job done. Comes off the bench in this last match versus Jordan, yeah, versus Jordan. Gets a free kick goal. We love to see that for him. But I think this will be a cakewalk for this Argentina team. I think this team has way too much. I think they might even rotate a little bit. Might show some disrespect to the Cape Verde team, but even if they do, I don't think they struggle against Cape Verde. I think Cape Verde cannot get through with draws now. They have to score. They have to win this match. And I don't think in 90 minutes, even 120 minutes, that ultimately this Argentina team does not put a few past them. Messi is firing on all cylinders. They are unlocking Messi, like Matt has said before, in a never seen before way. And they are working for Messi. They're doing everything for Messi. They're creating the space. They're making the runs. They're putting in the defensive shifts. They're allowing Messi to just be out there and hover, man. Hover by the half line and just fucking wait for the ball. We'll get it to your feet and go make magic. They're just doing a great job at empowering Messi and letting him do whatever he needs to do. Julian Alvarez started in this last match as well. He looked pretty good out there. If I remember correctly, I think he even got a goal. It was a penalty from Lautaro Martinez, which he finally got his goal, so that's good to see. Giovanni Lo Celso scored a free kick, 2 free kick goals. Some would say an assist for El Dibu Martinez was intact with him putting in his own wall, making sure the keeper couldn't see it coming. So I think this Argentina team is just firing on all cylinders and will not stumble. But shout out to Cape Verde, man, for making it this far. I mean, so little people knew about this island, myself included. I did not know about this island until the World Cup happened, and I was like, "Who the heck are these guys?" And they have come, and I think their odds were like at 1% to get out and make it into the round of 32. So it's great to see them make it. I mean, I'm sure the people on the island are loving it, and I'm sure the lads themselves are living up every moment of it. So good for them. But I think this is as far as they get. Argentina give me a 3-0 dumping on them and just kind of sending them away. sadly.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on Messi, and I mean, we're gonna keep talking about it because I mean, he is the greatest player of all time. He's sitting now at 19 goals in the World Cup. That's surpassing Miroslav Klose already now by what, by 3 goals now. So like that in itself is just crazy. I mean, it's not too crazy to say also that Mbappe is not too far behind and still a little younger, but still, what Messi has done in his career and what he's continued to do, I mean, like Matt said, this is the easiest route they've ever had, and I can see them definitely getting to the final again. But um, this Argentina team is just too much talent. Sorry, Cape Verde, they held some pretty good teams to some draws, but I don't think they can hold Argentina. I think Messi. I mean, if they do end up rotating, Messi comes in, and then you just can't control him because he's all over the pitch. Like he doesn't have a role. Like his role is get in there and like find the space and score. So that's what he's gonna do. And I mean, I think Argentina's gonna win comfortably.
Yeah, just to touch on Cape Verde for a little bit. I think they've shown that they can hang. I mean, granted Uruguay disappointed a bit, but hey, 0-0 with Spain, 2-2 with Uruguay. They've shown that they can score goals. They've shown that they can be defensively resilient. So I would like to give them a little bit of credit. Granted, they haven't won a match yet. And to your point, Ulysses, I would actually say they can get through with draws still. They can just, be penalty merchants. Who knows? But I don't think
Portugal
they'll get
did
there.
it. Portugal did in the Euros.
Portugal did do it in the Euros. I don't, I think obviously if Spain had Lamine Yamal for the majority of that game, they probably wouldn't have been able to hold on for as long as they did. And I think you're going up against the best player in the world. I don't think they'll be able to hold on either. But the question for me in this match is, can Vozinha do it again? He's did it against Spain. He's going to have to do it again because they definitely will not outscore Argentina.
Mhm.
But Argentina have shown that they can still be got at in this tournament. Austria kind of got at them a little bit. Algeria had chances as well. And Jordan scored a goal, albeit Argentina rotated the majority of their team. But Argentina have shown defensive weaknesses. And anything is possible when Christian Romero is back there two-footing people for absolutely no reason. So anything can happen in this game. But I think it would be foolish to not say Argentina comfortably win 3-0. So yeah, Argentina have an easy path to the final. And I think that they will probably get there. So yeah, I would go 3-0 Argentina in this match.
This is one of those matches where you kind of want to put your house on it, but then there's that 1% that like, what if, But no, I think they ultimately get the job done, and it'll be too much. All right.
Yep.
Up next, Australia versus Egypt, round 32. Mohamed Salah has made it past in the round 32. It got dicey for them a little bit versus that Iran game. Iran by a freaking finger. Well, no, Iran by a toe. Literally could not make it through, and they ultimately had enough to make it past and win their group. The result ended with them tying the match, and then therefore them going through in second. I think this Egyptian side has a little bit too much for these Australian lads that ended up making it. I think they had a pretty good tournament. No, I think nobody expected them to get out in second, neither less. If they made it through, I think people were expecting them to come out in third place and get lucky on that top three. Turkey crashed out of the fucking tournament. They arrived and said, "I'm here, goodbye." So that allowed Austria and Paraguay to go through, which also nobody expected to get through, but that's besides the point. Um, I think Egypt will have way too much for this team. They are not going to be able to stop Mohamed Salah and scoring almost in. He's got 1 goal this tournament. They struggled to score against Belgium. He ended up getting assists, so he's 1 goal, 1 assist so far. But I think he'll find the net and he'll be able to end up leading his team to get through the next round and unfortunately knocking out Australia.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting match. I'm looking forward to watching it. I think this could be a little bit of a closer game than what many people expect. I think this is going to come down to Australia's coach Tony Popovich because he has shown that he is very unpredictable with the lineups he's putting out. You don't know if he's going to make a lineup that's going to counter a team like Turkey perfectly, or if he's going to counter a lineup like the USA terribly. He is sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. But I think that this could be a closer game than what people think. I think New Zealand showed that they can, no offense to New Zealand, but a lesser footballing powerhouse like themselves can hang with Egypt for the majority of a match. They kind of just lost it at the end, and they got a little too overwhelmed. But I think that this could be a close game. I'm expecting Australia to go for it a little bit more than they did against Turkey and the U.S. The match against Paraguay was awful. I mean, both teams knew that a draw got them through. So the match was fixed. FIFA look into it. Match was fixed. They both drew. Neither team went for it. Neither team really tried. Um, but I think Australia, when they have to go for it, they can. And I think that they have the ability to be defensively resilient enough to deal with Mohamed Salah. Omar Marmoush has not done anything this tournament. He is not. He's maybe popping a shot or two a game. Maybe one of them gets on target. The other one probably doesn't. But it's pretty much the Mohamed Salah show. And I don't know if Mohamed Salah has enough left in his tank to do this game after game after game after game. They almost lost to Iran. They probably should have lost to Iran. I don't think Australia is that far away from being as good as Iran is, in all honesty. I think someone like Nestor Yarnankunda could have explosive pace that gets past that Egyptian back line, who are not the fastest themselves. So I think Australia has the ability. It's literally just going to come down to whether Tony Popovich gets his lineup right or not. And I think if he gets it right, Australia could do the same thing they did against Turkey. And I would actually go for the upset here. Go ahead and give me 2-1 Australia in this match.
Well, I mean, yeah, I look. Liked how Egypt played against Belgium. I feel like they really made a statement there. And I know we doubted Salah in this 10th spot, but he's been producing, he's scoring and assisting. So um, I don't know. I just think for me, Egypt's got the upper hand here. I think they take it.
Up next, we have Switzerland versus Algeria. Algeria were damn near lucky to get through. Algeria came through on third place after breaking a gentleman's agreement and almost going for the win to get that second place with Austria, but Austria ended up coming back and getting that 3-3 draw in order to push them second place and put Algeria third. I think this will be a pretty entertaining match. I think this is kind of two teams that are close on level. I think ultimately, in my opinion, I think Algeria will have a little too much for Austria. They'll just be a little bit better in order to get the job done. I like Massa. I like Mares. Um, there's another lad on this Algerian team that I have enjoyed watching. It was
Nabil Bentaleb, baby.
no. Oh, but he's been playing like he's never played for the Coys ever in his life.
I'm telling you, bro.
He never played for the Coys like that, bro.
He was also at the Coys like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Anis Musa, I think he looks creative and explosive on that wing when he comes in. Benched Mares for the very first game versus Argentina, so we'll see that. But ultimately, I like this Algerian team. I like the way they've been balling. Alrour, fucking former French young young
Prodigy.
star,
Yeah.
young prodigy, ended up switching to Algeria. Pretty far back ago actually, and currently playing his ball over in Saudi Arabia. But I think he's had a pretty decent tournament. He got 2 assists against Austria. Put in a banger performance. So we'll see how they produce. We'll see how they do. But yeah, give me Algeria in this one, Beto.
Yeah, I think this has potential to be a really good game. I mean, you got old man Mares going up against old man Rodriguez. That's gonna be fun to watch. But Mares, scoring his first World Cup goals ever. In the last game when they needed the most, he pulled up. So, I mean, I think he showed them that he deserves that starting spot, and I'm actually kind of excited to see the Maza guy play more. Ibrahim Maza. I think he's had some decent games too. He seems like he's like the creative outlet for them. Whenever he gets the ball, I think all the other players are kind of like flock towards him to make sure he doesn't create something. So it should be interesting to see what they do. And then, I mean, Switzerland they have class everywhere on the field, so it should be a really interesting game. But I think Switzerland gets it done here.
Yeah, this is an interesting match. I think Switzerland have shown that they have a little bit too much technical ability, I think, for Algeria to deal with. They obviously looked terrible against Qatar, right? It was 1-1. They couldn't break him down. Their only goal was a penalty. But I think Johan Manzambi is who everyone should be watching right now. I think this guy is turning into one of the players of the tournament. And I don't know if it's because the group maybe wasn't the best. You know, there wasn't really a whole lot of eyes on Group B. But I mean, this dude ran the show against Bosnia when he came on, and then against Canada as well. You know, this guy I think is proving to be, if not Switzerland's best player, like one of their best players. So I think Switzerland has too much talent just all over the pitch for Algeria to deal with. I think Algeria are relying a little bit too much on Maza or Mahrez or Husama to create. I think they'll score a goal. I think Maros maybe gets one. They might even get like a penalty or something in there, but I think Switzerland probably they found their goal scoring for him. So I'd go ahead and give it 3-1 Switzerland. And I think Switzerland are poised with their bracket, they're poised to make a little bit of a deeper run too.
And now we are on to Colombia Ghana. All right.
Okay.
Colombia versus Ghana. Colombia has been coming in and firing at all cylinders, man. They are looking good. I don't think the witch doctor has enough to stop all these players. I think Luis Diaz has been having a really great tournament. Luis Javier Suarez is looking decent. He's out there. He's trying his hardest, but I think ultimately Luis Diaz is just pulling the strings in this team. Freaking, they have Daniel Munoz right back getting 2 goals and freaking showing what this Colombian heart is, man. Not giving up on the play ever and just going out and balling, bro. I like this Colombia team. I think Ghana um has had a pretty decent tournament. They come in, they they lose against Croatia in the last game day. They draw against England, but I think the draw against England was all the witch doctor and nothing else. So give me Colombia to win this game. They'll get through. It might get a little tricky. It won't be a scoreline run up, but overall they'll get the job done and they'll get through on to the next stage.
Yeah, I think Colombia just has way too much talent for Ghana to deal with. I think the thing about Colombia is that they just look really solid, right? Like they're not going out and they're not wowing anyone. They're not going out and blowing the expectations out of the water. But at the same time, they're doing exactly what people expect them to do, right? They just look really solid. They look like a well-oiled machine, and they look like they have what it takes to get past the lesser opponents. And that's exactly what Ghana is, right? You know, Ghana had that late win against Panama. They got a pretty lucky-ish draw against England. You could argue that Ghana should have had a penalty and maybe could have even won that match, but in the end, they were on the back foot for almost all of that game. They lost against Croatia. I think Ghana is almost a fluke that they got this far. I don't think they have anywhere near enough for Colombia. I think Colombia, pretty easy match here. Go ahead and give me 2-0.
Yeah, you guys have been saying it best. And Colombia has been playing like probably at their peak. I don't think I've ever seen them play this good. I mean, on paper, like you put them in Portugal, everyone thought Portugal was going to run circles around them, right? I mean, even though Colombia was having a good World Cup, Portugal has so much like talent in every position they have and every position on their team. And for Colombia to come out and outshoot them, they had way more shots than Portugal. Like they should have won that match. Like literally should have won that match against Portugal. So I think they're gonna make a deep run here. And I mean, Luis Diaz is having a great tournament. James Rodriguez is having, he's doing what James Rodriguez does. He comes to the international tournaments. He plays good. He gives us like 60, 70 minutes and he gets taken off. I mean, we talked about Ghana, right? I mean, they only conceded 2 goals in the group in the group games that they played, and one of the teams that played was England, which they held to 0-0. But like we said before, that's thanks to the witch doctor. Hopefully they bring him back. But I mean, who are you gonna put a curse on? Because I mean, all of Colombia is playing good, so it's not just one player. I mean, you could probably curse Luis Diaz, but
Yeah.
Daniel Munoz might come out of the right back position and score a goal. So I don't know. Colombia has a lot of talent, so I think Colombia gets it done against Ghana.
Germany versus Paraguay, our next game. This is just gonna be, I think, Germany going all over this Paraguay team. Paraguay will try to sit back with 5-4-1 and basically have all 10 of their outfield players in the box trying to stop this Germany team and just bring it congested, making them fight for it. But overall, I think this team has way too much talent to not go through. But who knows? Sometimes talent is not enough, and you need a little bit of luck on your side, a little bit of a lucky bounce to go your way to in order to get through the next group. And that's how Paraguay got here. So we'll see if they could get it. But I ultimately don't like Paraguay for this match. I think this is as far as they make it in this tournament. And Germany goes through. I think and Mencha's playing great. Musiala's trying to figure out. Freaking Leroy Sané is out there scoring, but I think it's just too much creativity in this Germany team. They did lose Schlotterbeck in the back, but I think Rudiger has come in. He's been able to kind of cover enough to be okay against Paraguay. We'll see how they hold up against a tougher opponent, but I think this will be a wash for Germany, and they'll end up going through.
I mean, yeah, this is going to be, cakewalk for Germany. They just have too much for Paraguay, and Paraguay doesn't have enough. They didn't impress. They didn't play good football like everyone thought they would. You know, they had some pretty good young players, and just they weren't pulling up. And even the experienced ones like Almiron just getting that red card. Like, come on, man, all that experience, all that everything you bring to the team, and you're the captain. I think he's the captain. Yeah, the captain,
Yeah.
and you're over here getting the red card for something that shouldn't be doing. Unfortunately for Slaughterbeck, it feels bad. Keep your head up, lad. You'll be back next year. But Rudiger, I mean, you're not losing much out. You're not losing out on much with Rudiger coming in because he's a freaking powerhouse back there. So Germany's gonna win this comfortably. Not much else to say.
Yeah, I think the one thing that Germany kind of need to be, conscious of is that they don't just look forward to playing France next week, right? And that they actually, go out there and they don't just completely underestimate Paraguay, right? Like you don't want to go out there and just completely overlook them and then get shocked, right? Because
Yeah.
Paraguay is going to play the same way that they played against Turkey. They're going to try to replicate that same formula that won them that match. But I don't think Germany is obviously not the same as Turkey, so I think Germany won't have any problems breaking them down. But yeah, the big thing for me is that Germany just don't overlook them. Go ahead, get a couple goals early in the match, and then you can kind of relax and rotate players as you need. But yeah, I think easy for Germany. I'll go 4-0. All right.
France versus Sweden, round 32. Matt, what you got for us?
Yeah, so exactly like I said in previous episodes, Sweden are not good. They're not a good team. People were fooled after the 5-1 against Tunisia. People don't realize that Tunisia is probably the worst team in this World Cup, right? And they got exposed against the other ones, right? They got shipped for 5. They had a 5-1 win in the first match, and then completely undid all of that goal difference in the very next game, and that says pretty much all you needed to say. People will argue that the result they got against Japan makes them look a little bit promising. The reality is that Zion Suzuki was on 500 ping for that goal that they scored. Anthony Alanga got extremely lucky to score that goal. It won't happen again. Isak and Gyökeres are syncing it up exactly like we thought they would. They farmed against the tiny little African country, and now when they got to play against the big boys, they can't do it, right? So this midfield as well for Sweden, not good enough. Doesn't have the quality. And then you're going up against the team that I think is going to win the tournament here, France. I mean, these guys look they look unbelievable, right? They legitimately look like they cannot be beaten. And Kylian Mbappe is probably going to win the Golden Boot. Ousmane Dembele, who historically, has struggled a little bit for France, he is not struggling anymore, dude. This guy is on fire. Hat trick against Norway in the first half, by the way. I believe it was inside like half an hour or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks insane. Desiree Doué even got on the score sheet, I believe, or was it Barcola? No, it was Doué. Doué got on the score sheet as well against Norway, which is a good sign for him. His first goal in the tournament, he's off and running. France, I mean, this just goes without saying, right? They have way too much quality for Sweden to deal with. Sweden's backline is not good enough. Victor Lindelof is about to get turned left, right, sideways. Victor Lindelof can't hang, right? This dude was a statue for years at Man United. He's a little bit better at Aston Villa because he has a little bit better help. He's not playing with 37-year-old Phil Jones. But no, I mean, Yassine Ayari is like the only one doing anything for Sweden. Anthony Alenga also looks okay. He looks all right in moments, but they haven't put together a solid 90-minute performance. And I would stick with that even with the Japan game. I think Japan scored their first goal and then they kind of took the foot off the gas. They weren't really going for it anymore. And they knew they didn't really need to, right? Because they had already qualified by that point. So they knew that they were going to be fine. So they rotated the team a little bit. They made some substitutions, but France, I mean, just way too much quality, way too much talent. They're gonna win the whole thing. They're gonna win this game. They're gonna whoop up on Sweden. Go ahead and give me 4-0, France.
Beato.
Yeah, no, France. I mean, we've been touching on it all tournament, and like, this team is just too crazy. Like their bench should get them probably to the semifinal alone. Like it's how insane like their depth is and like how talented this team is. I mean, you got the oldest player on the team is Adrian Rabiot at 31. Everyone else is under the age of like 27. This team is all in their prime, and like a lot of them are they won the World Cup back with them in 2018. So they not only have experience, but they have the mix of experience and then young talent too. So I don't know. I don't. There's not many teams that can stop this team, and like the teams that I did think would be the ones to stop them are not playing good. So I think this is everyone's favorite. Unless something changes, this is everyone's favorite. And Sweden, I'm sorry, they got nothing. They have no answer for France. So
Yeah. No, France is a favorite in this tournament for a reason. They have the quality. They have the firepower. They have the defensive structure to go through deep run. Not my favorite to win it, but it's a lot of people's favorite for a reason. How is this Swedish team supposed to stop Mbappe, Ulysses, Dembele, Due? They will have no answer for this team, unfortunately for them. Elenga, Isak, and Jokeres won't be able to get past. I think this defense. They might get a goal maybe late in the match, but it will be far too late for anything to become a fruit of it. I think this France team is just freaking position by position. Any of those players that are on the France team, I think, start for almost every single nation on this in this World Cup. There's maybe one or two that are arguable, but every player they have in position is starting caliber for top level clubs, and they most of them do start at top level clubs. Kylian Mbappe is freaking trying his hardest to keep up with Messi for this tournament. Ultimately, he will pass Messi's 19 goals. Freaking, he's only 27, 28,
27.
27. Um, turns 28 this year, but he has at least another 2 World Cups in him. Maybe if you stretch it, go to 3. He's gonna surpass Messi's record as long as there's no horrific injury. Obviously, that like, ends his career, but is looking to break Messi's record and add lots more goals to it. In the race for the Golden Boot, Ousmane Dembele is playing like a Ballon d'Or winner that he is. He's firing at all cylinders. Scored a hat trick in first 30 minutes. I think is the fastest hat trick scored in a World Cup, if I remember correctly. Um, and this France team is just firing at all cylinders, man. There's no stopping them. Ulysses in there creating, got 2 assists versus Iraq, got an assist versus Senegal. Unfortunately didn't get his versus Norway, but they're doing the job. They're going in, they're getting the job done. And we're not even touching on any of their bench, dude. They have such depth in their bench to bring on players when you are gonna struggle in this deeper turn as the tournament gets deeper, you might struggle. You have players to bring in on the bench with fresh legs to go on and create and do something in this tournament, man. And I think that they are definitely contenders to make it to the final. I think they will probably make it to the final, barring a masterclass from a Spain or I don't know who else they face, maybe Germany.
Germany,
Yeah, it goes
Netherlands.
Germany, Netherlands, and then I think really deep in, I think it might end up being Spain if they get through. I believe.
Yeah, it'll be the
Yeah,
semifinal.
but it's like pretty deep. But barring a perfect performance from a other team, there's no stopping them, man. They'll make it through, and are most likely going to make another appearance at a final. So Ultimately, France is gonna get the job done. I think it's gonna be a goal fest. Lindelof is, as Matt mentioned, gonna be put in a blender and just not gonna have a good day. So yeah, that's my take. I think France gets the job done. Give me a 3-1 win for France. Next game is Netherlands versus Morocco. This is gonna be a hell of a game, I think. It's looking to be one of the better games of this round of 32. Matt, I'm gonna let you take us through it.
Yeah, so obviously the biggest storyline going into this is unfortunately off the pitch. Cody Gakpo has lost his unborn child recently, but the news is that he is going to stay with the Netherlands team and that he's going to continue playing. Obviously, that's a tragic. I can't imagine the amount of loss and whatnot he's going through. Um, but he's gonna be there. He's gonna play, and let's see how that affects him. I mean, and hopefully not at all, and hopefully if anything makes him play better. And I hope he's able to score a goal in this match. I know he would have a celebration specifically planned for it too. So to honor the child that he lost. But otherwise, moving on from that, I think this is a very interesting tactical matchup. I think the Netherlands have been very slept on in this tournament. I think people aren't really taking them as seriously as they should be, and that's kind of confusing to me because these guys always go on a pretty deep run. I mean, final 2010, semifinals 2014. I can't remember 2018. I actually don't think they qualified 2018. Did they?
No, I think they didn't.
But 2022, I believe it was semis or quarters against Argentina. They lost. Um, these guys always have what it takes to make a deep run, uh, and I think that this tournament is going to be no different. I think that they'll win this game, in my opinion. I think that they have way too much talent across the pitch. I think Frankie De Jong is kind of turning into like the engine that really runs that Dutch midfield. I think without him, they would be a lot worse, and I think they are relying on him a lot. Brian Brobby looks good as the number 9, 2 goals against Sweden, goal against Tunisia. I think he looks great. Cody Gakpo is having a really good tournament as well off the left hand side. Um, he had the 2 goals against Sweden and the assist, and then he also had a good performance I thought against Japan. Less so against Tunisia, but they didn't really need him to have a good performance in that game. Um, Jean-Paul Van Hecke is one of my players of the tournament right now. The recently moved from Brighton to Spurs player. I think he genuinely looks like one of if not the best defensive player in this whole tournament. Genuinely, I mean he is putting in mountain performances every single match, and I think that Ismail Sabari is going to find it very difficult to win a physical match against him. And then even if you get past Van Hecke, Virgil van Dijk is stood right next to him, right? So I think even though the Dutch are kind of conceding goals a little bit, I mean 2 against Japan, 1 against Sweden, 1 against Tunisia, they haven't had a clean sheet yet. I think that the majority of that probably falls on the goalkeeper Verbruggen. I don't think he's had a very good game. I thought he should have stopped probably both of those goals that Japan scored. The second one, Japan had a header, which a goal comes from a header, which you just can't allow that. If you're the Netherlands, you're the tallest country in the world, you can't allow that. And otherwise, I think everything is flowing pretty nicely for the Dutch. I think Mickey van de Ven looks a little bit out of place playing left back, but you know that he has the ability to still be very defensively solid and good going forward. So I think the Dutch have a lot of quality. I think Morocco have been good, but not great in this tournament. Obviously, they had their tie against Brazil in the first match, their 1-1 tie. They beat Scotland, but only by a goal, and that goal came very early into the match, and then they kind of just were sitting back the rest of the match, and they conceded some chances late in that game that Scotland could have capitalized on, and then conceding 2 goals to Haiti, going down twice against Haiti. Granted, Wilson Isidore's goal is one of the best in the tournament, right? But man, Morocco don't really look that convincing to me yet. I think they have what it takes to continue their run of dominance that they've had realistically in major tournaments. I mean, winning AFCON and then making the semifinals in the 2022 tournament. So I think they look good. I think the defense looks a little bit shaky, and they can definitely be got at, especially if Hakimi, is getting caught out when he moved forward and whatnot. But this should by all means be one of if not the best match of this round. I mean, everyone's looking forward to this game. I know I certainly am. I'm going to be posted up on the couch with some popcorn. But yeah, I think it'd be a really good tactical matchup too. I think Koeman and Morocco's coach both play kind of a similar style. It's maybe a little bit more of a 4-3-3 for the Netherlands and more of a 4-2-3-1 for Morocco, but Morocco is fluid and interchanges into that 4-3-3 throughout the entire game. So interesting to see how it does. I'm looking for a little bit more from Brahim Diaz. I think he is kind of getting away with ghosting, which is kind of crazy to say because he has 2 assists, right? Assist against Morocco or assist against Brazil and an assist against Scotland, but at the same time, outside of those, he's not doing like anything. I mean, he's losing possession. He's giving away turnovers. He's not really taking his man on and winning. So I'd like to see a little bit more out of him. But yeah, curious to see what you guys think. Beto, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you made a lot of good points, and I agree with a lot of them. We got two of the one of the best, like I think more underrated strikers going into this knockout stage with Brian Brobby and Saibari, both sitting on 3 goals, both having really good performances. And I don't know, I mean, the Dutch has just so much talent, like you're saying. It's going to be hard for this Moroccan offense to unlock them, and I think it's going to be also a really big midfield battle between, I mean, the youngster Ayub Wadi and Frankie De Jong, who's gonna run their midfield more. And I don't know. I mean, I'm leaning more towards Morocco just because I still believe in the underdog story, and I still believe we talk about these African teams and what they can do. They look like primarily the underdogs in this battle. Obviously the Netherlands, I mean, is really good, but Morocco by no means should be put down. I think they have a really good chance. So I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, no, I think that this match is going to be a great match. Ultimately, I think to touch on a little bit on something Matt was mentioned is I don't know why they're being slept on. I think the reason that the Netherlands being so slept on is because they've been disappointing and have disappointed people like tournament past tournament, and they expect them to make a little bit deeper runs.
I think what you're trying to say is probably ever since like the 2010 World Cup where they were the runner up, I think ever since then they were kind of like gradually going down. I mean, they
I would
had that.
disagree with that though. I think they've been good.
I
They
mean,
got
then
that Argentina game 4 years ago was like complete cinema, bro.
yeah, that I think that was the beginning of like the resurgence again. Was that World Cup, and like, but before that, I mean, Euros, like they didn't do anything in any of the Euros. The 2014 World Cup, they got just for them to get taken out,
Forgot about that.
and then 2018 World Cup didn't even qualify. I think they like
They they
they've
just
had a rough
disappoint.
spell. They've had a
Yeah,
rough patch. They've had a rough patch.
I guess.
I mean,
yeah,
they were in dreamland in that World Cup final with Spain. You know, they had it. It was close. I mean, they had chances. They had that block that Casillas had. So I mean, they literally could have won it if it wasn't for Casillas.
yeah. Because for how many tournaments they missed out. If do I remember correctly, they missed out on a World Cup, right? They didn't
2018.
qualify for the 2018 World Cup. Ever since then, I think people have just kind of hyped them back up. Ever since then, in that 2018 tournament, people have been just disappointed by this Netherlands team that they haven't been able to produce.
Yeah,
They've been seen as a dark horse in many tournaments and
yeah,
kind of like being this quote unquote exactly what Belgium has been.
yeah.
They come in as like these dark horses, like, oh, we'll see what they could do, and then they come in and they just disappoint. And I
Yeah.
think that's why people aren't rating them as much as they did back in the day. But I think this Netherlands team is looking better. They have the quality, they have the players to do it. Frankie De Jong is having a pretty good tournament. He's looking like that creative engine for this Netherlands team in that midfield. Um, like you guys mentioned, Brobby, yeah,
Yeah.
Brian Brobby is having a pretty good tournament. 3 goals in 2 star. I think he only got 2 starts, right?
Yeah, and then they started in the second game and then kept
Yeah,
going rolling with them.
yeah, 2 starts, 3 goals in 2 starts. The Sunderland lad is doing a job. Only 24 years old, so ultimately, I think it's going to be good match on both sides. You got a lot of young talent on both sides too. At center back, you got the youngster Chadi Riyad, former Barcelona academy player, that now plays his ball over at Crystal Palace, and
Mhm.
he's been having a decent tournament back there, commanding the line. Sometimes even looking like the leader over Issa Diop, which is a little bit older than him, and you expect him to take that up, but no, the youngster Ayub Boadi,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wally.
Boadi has had a pretty good tournament. He came in, he showed out against Brazil. A little bit of quieter game versus Scotland, and was benched for the match versus Haiti. Give the man some rest, but I think he's going to come back into the starting 11, and he's going to have a good match. I think Brahim Diaz has been ghosting, like Matt mentioned. He got an assist against Scotland, but he also got the assist against Brazil. So it's like it's a very quiet tournament for him so far. I think he could be doing more. You expect more from a Real Madrid player, and you want him to do better. Uh, Saibari is fucking putting him away. He got three goals in 3 games. So I think there's going to be goals in this match, but ultimately, I think that the Netherlands will have just enough to get past them. It's going to come down to the 90th minute. I don't think we're going to have a decider to the end, and even it might even go into overtime, and we might go all the way to penalties and go there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with penalties in this match. Give me a Netherlands win in this match. It might take them all the way to overtime, but I think they'll get it done. Portugal versus Croatia is our next match. Beto, take us through it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is gonna be, I mean, a pretty close game. I feel like. I mean, Portugal hasn't been having the tournament everybody thought they would. You know, they're coming off the back of what Vitinha, Mensch, and João Neves. Like they all have like amazing seasons at their club at the club level, and they go into this game thinking like they're gonna carry. And Bruno Fernandes was also obviously Premier League player of the season. Everyone thinks this team's gonna destroy everybody they go against, but they haven't really shown that. I mean, they had a goalless draw with Colombia. They also had a draw with who was it?
Congo.
With Congo that nobody expected, and obviously they're gonna farm against Uzbekistan. You know, but I don't know. I mean, this Portugal team is not impressing. You know, they're not living up to their standards. Like we always say, like these teams look so good on paper, but then they go out there and they try to show us what they got, and it's nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
Croatia, also looks like a shadow of of their former self. You know, they're trying so hard to like rely on that Modric, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of been working, but that element can get you so far. So I don't know. I think Portugal just has enough just to get them over this line.
Yeah. I think this Portuguese team is the definition of they have too much talent to fail, but they're actually failing. When we say there's too much talent to fail, is this is a complete opposite of what's we expect. This Portuguese team is just not flowing great. Lots of eyes on Ronaldo, but rightfully so. He goes out, he does the I'm back after getting his 2 goals against Uzbekistan, and just does not perform like he should against Colombia when his team needed him. To touch on this Croatian team, they've had a little bit of a rough tournament. They ended up going out losing 4-2 versus England. They won 1-0 versus Panama, and so I think Croatia has a pretty good team back there, though. They have a couple of youngsters that are looking good and having a good tournament. I think was it Peter Susic, I think is yeah, a goal and assist so far. So they have some creativity back there. They have old man Luka Modric still pulling the strings and trying to create for this team, and he's somewhat doing the job. Got an assist versus Ghana, but how long can you kind of like beat the dead horse and make him do the job for you? This is a pretty 50-50 match in my opinion. I think Portugal will struggle against this Croatian team. Um and it'll be a tough one, but they'll end up just going through on just the talent alone, but they'll make them work for it for sure. Um I don't know, man. I'm not convinced by either of these teams, to be honest. Somebody has to win, but I just don't even know who to put in as that would be that winner. Um, but if I had to choose, I mean, I guess I think Portugal goes through. They end up dodging the smoke of being on the other side of the bracket, so they have a little bit of a tougher fight to make it deeper in this tournament. But ultimately, don't think they'll get too far. But I think they end up winning this match and get out and go on to the next round here. Matt, what you got?
Yeah, I think you really can't talk about this Portugal team without addressing the elephant in the room, right? Which is Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, this guy is living off of his name at this point, pretty much. I mean, if this guy's name wasn't Cristiano Ronaldo, you would think to yourself, what the hell are they doing? Why is this guy starting every match, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's Cristiano Ronaldo, and this is one of the best players to have ever played the sport in the history of everything, right? So at the same time, it's like, can you really like not start him when you know what he's capable of? And I get that these moments are few and far between at this point, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but all it's going to take is one moment when it matters most, and you know that he can give it to you. So, um, I am questioning Roberto Martinez. Why is this guy starting every single match? I think at this point he would be probably better off used coming off the bench, maybe
Yeah.
55, 60th minute. Um, if the match is tight, I think this will be a close match. You said that this would be a 50-50, and realistically, it shouldn't be. But
No,
because
should
Portugal
not.
can't really score goals, it is. So I think that Gonzalo Ramos should definitely be starting this match and every
Yeah.
match subsequently for Portugal, but he won't. Cristiano Ronaldo will retain his spot at the number 9. Roberto Martinez is too scared to make that kind of change. And I think Roberto Martinez is the wrong manager for this Portuguese team because even without Ronaldo, they should be rolling past everyone. They should have beaten Colombia on paper, right? Um, you know, Statistics say the Colombia wins should have won, and they should have.
Mm-hmm.
But theoretically speaking, Portugal should have won that match just by the names on their team, right? Um, Obviously, they couldn't even beat the Congo, right? And it begs an interesting point of like, how far do Portugal actually how far can they actually go, right? Because before the tournament started, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, these guys can make a deep run. Like these guys can make it to the final." Like, they're realistically there's nothing standing in their way, but because they didn't win their group,
So if they win their group, Matt,
they'd have
they
to play Spain, I would believe, right?
Spain.
Yeah,
So they are next up against Spain, correct? Well, the
yeah.
winner
So
between Spain and Austria.
right, so even if they win this game, they have to play Spain, right? And either team who wins this match is going to probably lose against Spain. That's just kind of the reality of Spain at the moment. Um, But I think this will be a close game, and it really shouldn't be because Portugal have a lot of talent. I mean, you could argue, even just looking at their lineup, you could argue that they have some of the best players in their position in the whole world. Nuno Mendes, probably the best left back in the world, right? Vitinha, one of the best midfielders in the world, right? And Bruno Fernandes, probably the best number 10 in the world. And it's sad when you watch a team like this be hindered by one problem, that it is one thing holding them back. Everyone knows what it is, but everyone is too scared to do something about it. And I wonder how these Portuguese players feel because I wonder how, Bruno Fernandes feels, having
Yeah.
to do a lot of the tracking back, having to win a lot of the ball when he's not used to doing that at Man United, but he's
Mm-hmm.
having to do a lot of that work now, create opportunities, which he's doing, and nothing comes from it, right? They're just getting wasted. So, um, I am curious to know what the players themselves think if they think that, oh yeah, get this guy out of the lineup, right? But
Yeah.
and this is the sad reality that we live in is that Cristiano Ronaldo determines whether Portugal wins or loses, and I think they will win this game ultimately, but I think it will probably go deep into extra time if not penalties.
Yeah. If we don't look at this Uzbekistan match, which everybody expected them to go out and do, I don't tell you the player name and I just read you off the stats, you would say, why is this guy playing?
Right.
Why is a striker that has a total of 3 shots, 0 on target, 0 blocked, starting again after putting up a 6.1 rating? Why is and then goes on and starts against Uzbekistan, gets his goals fine, and then goes against Colombia has 3 shots, 1 on target. That's not something you want from your striker. And just on name value alone, he's living off of it. If this was anybody else, they would have hit the bench so fast. They would have not touched that field again unless there was an injury or anything else, and they were needed to come in. I think Ronaldo is going into spaces where he isn't playing the traditional 9 where Portugal kind of need him to be. He still wants to be the center of this Portuguese attack when it's just not the reality. It cannot happen that way anymore. They have too much creativity. They have too much talent for to let Ronaldo be the the center folk of it. He has to just be at the end of stuff and receive it, not fall back at top of the box and leave nobody in the box to receive the ball, take the ball from your 2 midfielders back there. He just has to play to his strengths, and I don't think he's doing that. I think he just wants to play like 10-year-old Ronaldo, like 10 years ago,
Mm.
and be at the center of it all, and just kind of take the responsibility on his own when it should not be that way for this Portuguese team.
Yeah, and I think you also have to look at some of the other players on this Portuguese team. Joao Felix is not playing well. Pedro Neto is not playing well. Ruben Neves is not playing well. And it makes me wonder, Rafael has to start this game over Pedro Neto. Either Felix or Pedro Neto. Either one, whichever side you want to
Yeah.
put him on, right? Rafael has to start this game. And I think Roberto Martinez is just too scared to make changes because Leao has played in all 3 games, but hasn't started any of them. So,
Yeah.
Uzbekistan, he comes on, he looks great, scores his goal, right? And then even against Colombia, they were kind of void of ideas, it looked like. But then Leao comes on and he's taking his man on. He's trying to get into those tight spaces. He's trying to create. He's trying to push. He has a lot of the energy that Felix or Neto are both lacking. And I think Roberto Martinez needs to kind of like realize that, hey, what I'm doing isn't working, and he needs to make some changes. Otherwise, I think they're in for a tough match here, and they may struggle. So
I would even put a shout in for Francisco Conceição to start at that right wing. He looked more explosive. He looked more creative. He looked like he was willing to take his player on compared to what Pedro Neto is doing on that right side, or even that João Felix. They're just not doing great. You need to make changes at this point. You have to put in these younger players that are hungry and let them go and create and let them create spaces. So there has to be rotation in this team in order for them to kind of do better. But will he make the changes? I doubt it. I don't think so. I think they're gonna go out exactly with the same starting 11 that they went out in this Colombia match, and they're gonna just bash their heads against the walls. Hopefully something works, but it's just gonna be the most 50-50 match that should not be 50-50.
right.
If you were just looking into this match, the World Cup is starting, Portugal versus Croatia. You think Portugal is taking this match? You think Portugal is bringing the house down against this Croatian team? But that's just not the truth of it. This Portuguese team is not living up to his expectation. Not just Ronaldo at this point. It's Vitinha and Ruben Neves. Everybody is just kind of failing to produce and do something. And are they just using Ronaldo as their scapegoat? Be like, oh, it's kind of Ronaldo. None of the players are kind of taking responsibility. Maybe, who knows? But I think all this entire team needs to take a look at themselves and kind of wake themselves up and get into that next gear and kind of start producing and start putting away some chances, start creating better chances. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, Spain versus Austria. This match is going to be. I think Spain just takes it overall. Spain has Lamine Yamal. Man came in for 45 minutes, did his job, and sat back down. And versus fuck, who did he play? That
Saudi Arabia.
was Saudi Arabia. This is when he did. Uh, I think he's gonna have a great game this game. Decent performance versus Uruguay. I think ultimately Muslera just took all the talking points, and his stinker performance was the highlight of it. But I think overall, this Spanish team will have enough to get it done and go out and beat the Austrians. A couple keynotes is that Nico Williams and Jeremy Pino are, I think, both out for this game, and I think they are out for the tournament if I recall correctly. So that's a lot of wing talent. I think that's mostly like left wing that they typically pay gone. Now you have to rely on Alex Baena that did not have a good season at Atletico Madrid. He had a very mediocre season over there. And so you kind of have to rely on him to get something done, or else what you're gonna go throw Gavi at left wing again? They didn't look great, so they're hurting with injuries. But ultimately, I think Dani Olmo, Lamine Yamal, Pedri will be able to get it done. Putting in Dani Olmo at that 10, letting him go in, find spaces, fill the gaps. Bala will do enough and get enough done to put Spain ahead and win this game ultimately. I think Kouachi's having a great tournament as well. Very sound in the back, looking very solid along Laporte. Very good back line. Unai Simon is having hasn't been challenged too much other than the Uruguay game a bit, but hasn't faced a challenge. He might face a little bit more of a challenge here with Arnautovic, but even then, they should get through comfortably. I don't think there's going to be much to this game. Uh, Give me Spain winning this ultimately 2-1.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Spain, they didn't look too convincing at times, but at times they did. So, I mean, I'm kind of like curious to see what they do here. Interesting enough, I mean, you said they didn't get really challenged that much. I mean, they were the only team ever to not have any shots on target that they faced in any other group stage matches. The first team to do that. So it just goes to show how strong their defense is. I mean, I think that's going to be hard to find a team that can break that down, but I think there's definitely some teams in this tournament that can break that defense down. But they haven't been challenged as of yet. Lamine Yamal, he's the guy. I mean, he's the guy. This has to be this. This is where he has to show up now. Like he's coming off an injury. He got eased into the game. Uruguay, they shut him out a little bit. He didn't really do too much. I think now this is where he needs to step up. This is where like he needs to make a name for himself if he wants to be like put into those names with like the GOAT and stuff like that. But I mean, he's still young, and even if he doesn't, I still think he has a long career ahead of him. But I think like just all the hype and everything around him, he needs to provide. He needs to do something here. I'm not too convinced with Oyarzabal yet. I mean, he had that one good game against Saudi Arabia, but besides that, I mean, didn't do a whole lot against Uruguay. But like we said, you touched on Baena, didn't have a good season. And he scored the only goal against Uruguay, and it was kind of just a howler by Muslera.
Yeah.
So I mean, nothing too crazy there. So I don't know.
It was more Muslera eating that than that
Yeah.
being a good goal, bro.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, this Spain team it's kind of the running story between all these teams. Like they're not performing like we thought they were going to be. Like a lot of teams are like underperforming. So I don't know. I have my money on Spain, but I mean, they got to figure it out. They got to be more dominant. They got to be more that powerhouse that we all know. Lamine Yamal has to step up. He has to live up to that name. So I think Spain will take it in the end, but it's gonna be a challenge, a little bit of a challenge for them.
Yeah, I think Spain haven't been as good as everyone thought that they would be, but at the same time, I think Lamine Yamal will eventually hit that form where he's unstoppable, like we've seen for almost his entire career. But at the same time, I mean, Austria are just kind of all over the place. Austria's defense has just not been good in this tournament. They have, David Alaba is doing all he can, but he has no help. And he's, Philip Lineheart has been a pretty big disappointment next to him at the center back spot. So, the one good thing for Austria is that they've shown they can score goals. I mean, they scored 3 goals in 2 of their, 2 separate group games. They scored 3 goals. So they've shown that they can do it. But at the same time, I think this will pretty much be how their match against Argentina went. I think they'll have a chance or two and they'll put some pressure on, but it's not going to be too much trouble for Spain. I think this will end up being pretty comfortable for them.
USA versus Bosnia is our next match. Matt, take us through it.
Yeah, so the U.S. Obviously won their first 2 matches against Paraguay and Australia, and then they kind of pooped the bed against Turkey. So they did rotate the team heavily against Turkey, and it was kind of to be expected. I predicted the win for Turkey. I thought the U.S. was gonna end up losing that game, and they did. They went out and they lost. But at the same time, I think it didn't really tell us anything we didn't already know about the USA. And for me, that is, when the starters are out and you can't rely on the depth. The depth for the USA is not good. So if the starters don't go out and they don't put up a goal or two in the first 60, 70 minutes of the game when they start to get tired and they start to cramp and you maybe have an injury or two, God forbid Pulisic re-aggravates that injury, um, you're kind of left with a lot of trash on the bench. And I don't think that will be a problem in this game against Bosnia, but I think it definitely will be in the future. I think this game will probably play out similar to how the USA's group games did, especially against Paraguay and Australia, where they go out and they probably get two goals maybe in the first half. Um, and then I think they'll probably coast in the second half. I would go with maybe a 2-3-1 scoreline here for the USA. I think Bosnia looked okay against Canada. I don't think Canada was really at the best of their game in that match, but I think they looked all right. And then they held Switzerland to a good close match for a while. But then they kind of just fell off the rails towards the end of that one, and then obviously they whooped up on Qatar. So I think Bosnia is going into this probably believing that they can pull an upset here, and they totally should, right? But I think the U.S.'s starting 11 is playing really well at the moment, and they have a lot of chemistry. So I like the USA in this game. I think they'll probably they should breeze past Bosnia in all reality. Like I said, probably a 3-1. But it's all going to depend on how the first half goes. I mean, if it's halftime and it's 0-0, I'm going to start to worry because if Bosnia successfully plays a defensive match that the U.S. has trouble breaking them down with, I think they're going to struggle to really do it, especially if they have to bring the bench players on too. So um, I think should be comfortable. Hopefully it's comfortable, but I wouldn't be surprised if this game does not go the way many people think it will. But
I just a question for you, Matt, is was there anybody in that Turkey match that kind of stood out to you or like that you think are like, okay, we could kind of look at this guy and maybe bring him on the bench. The US I think rotated full 11. I think the only person that played previously was McKennie. But I think other than that, I believe they had like a full rotated team. Ricardo Pepi was starting, but he shouldn't have started the other match. But was there anybody on that match that you think that they have enough to kind of bring onto the bench? We could look at that guy and kind of bring him on. Anybody that impressed you?
honestly, no. I don't think a single player outside of McKennie or Austin Trusty impressed me. I thought Matt Turner was terrible. I thought Timothy Weah was terrible. I
Yeah.
thought Brandon Aronson did nothing. Ricardo Pepi did nothing. Sebastian Berhalter had a goal and an assist, and the goal was very nice. But outside of that, he was terrible. So Miles Robinson wasn't good. Mark McKenzie wasn't good. Joe Scally didn't really do anything. So to answer your question, no. And this is what scares me the most is that you have almost an entirely different full 11 on the bench, and none of them are playing well. None of them look good. So you are so heavily relying on that starting 11 to go out and win the game, and particularly in the first like 60 minutes. And if they can't get it done, I have no faith in almost anyone coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Gio Reyna scored a goal against Paraguay. Bosnia is not Paraguay, respectfully. I think they're a little bit better. Um, but no, I really don't trust anyone else to
Yeah.
come off the bench and do a job. And it hurts to say that because you want that to not be the case, but everything they've shown, I mean, the depth just does not look good enough.
I think that's what's gonna hurt the US the most in this tournament. But because that not having that depth, not having these guys come in and you expected them to kind of have a decent performance at least, but most of them had even below decent, like mediocre performances. Weah had a very bad performance. Pepe did not look great at all. You just cannot get into the match, and like that's not what you want to see from these guys that you might look into the bench in that 75th minute when you're 0-0 and you kind of need somebody to go put something away. It's not what you want to see. We know Sebastian Berhalter is going to come in at the match at some point. It's inevitable. Um, had a goal and assist, but other than those two contributions, he had a very mediocre match as well. He was getting bossed up in that midfield. That midfield was all Turkey. They did not have the ball much and did not let him do much with it. So I think that's a scary thing for this USA team. I think that how far they get in the tournament is how well those 11 can do in the first 90 minutes, and past that, you get into very scary territory. Um,
I've been a firm believer of the U.S. ever since like their opening match. They really impressed me. One of the teams that actually impressed and actually lived up to a little bit to their hype. Unfortunate to lose against Turkey, but like we all saw and we talked about, they rotated heavily, and Turkey,
Mhm.
came out with something to prove. So obviously they're going to come out with their whole full fighting 11. But USA, I mean, kudos to them. They got a somewhat decent route because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, if they win here, they play either Belgium or Senegal, which I think they also have a high chance of beating, and then they have the opportunity to meet either Spain, Portugal, or Croatia, which I think are honestly one of the teams that probably USA could probably also have a really good chance against. So, um, the USA, I think they definitely get it done here. Bosnia doesn't have enough to stop them. They might just be like really play really defensive. I don't know what their plan is going into this. Bosnia is one of the tallest teams in the tournament. They have a center back who's 6'7". Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know if they're gonna. But then again, so did Australia, and wasn't really a big deal for the U.S. The physicality. So I don't know. We'll see. I think the USA definitely is gonna win. So I'm excited to watch this game, see what they bring.
Belgium Senegal is our last match to cover. This is going to be a hell of a game. I think. I think this is going to be a closer match than people are putting it up to be. I think people are writing the Senegal team off, but they have quality in that team. They have in India that plays over in Everton, I believe. Yeah, Everton. Had a decent season for them. Nothing great, but ultimately, I think this team is getting written off too soon and too fast. I think they'll put up a fight. You got Ismail Lassar up there, former young wonder kid. Sadio Mane is still in the team, still going out and trying to ball out for this team. The great combination at midfield has been working out for them. I think this team will put up a good fight against this Belgium side that we have seen struggle. We've seen Belgium struggle and not go into games where they are favorable and they should be winning comfortably and not win comfortably. We saw them struggle against Iran. We saw them struggle against Egypt. They have not given us much to write home about. Yes, they had a good game against New Zealand, but I don't think we want to ride that horse to put the house on it against Senegal.
Yeah, I mean, they're Belgium and Belgium's always been the perennial like dark horse for every tournament that they're in. They always have a golden generation. They always have a good team, and so a lot of people went into that and went to this tournament with high expectations, especially with Jeremy Doku coming off of amazing performances for City and for Belgium in their friendlies. But he hasn't been that guy for them. Leandro Trossard has been pulling up for them. I think more than Jeremy Doku has, and I think that goes to show that maybe teams are like putting more attention and like marking on that side of the field, and that leaves Leandro Trossard a little more open. And I mean, he's not someone to be slept on. I mean, he plays for Arsenal. And they won the Prem. I think he was a pretty like key part to that. With Saka being injured a lot of the season. I think Belgium gets it done here. I think for them, they're lucky that they made it this far. They were in a group with France and Norway, and I mean they caught the bad end of both of those teams, and they still made it to the knockout stages because of their third best placed teams. So, but I don't know. I don't think they have enough for Belgium. I think Belgium kind of figured out their issues maybe, and then Doku coming back after the birth of his child. So I think there's just too much talent with Belgium, and I think they can figure it out and beat Senegal.
Yeah, I think both teams are a little lucky to be here, to be honest. I mean, both teams are here because they scored 5 goals in their last match. So, um, I think this is a matchup that looks good on paper, but in reality, this may be a very boring game. Um, and kind of like you were saying, Beto, Jeremy Doku has just been getting all of the attention. I mean, teams are double, triple teaming him whenever he's got the ball in their half. So it has freed up Leandro Trossard. And in a world where Leandro Trossard becomes your best player, you are not going to get far. You will not make it very far. And I think the question for me, this game entirely comes down to how has Senegal kind of rallied after that defeat or after that win against Iraq, where they put 5 past them and they looked good. They looked just like defeated. They looked almost like down and out after the Norway match, and they did not look good in that game at all. But they bounced back well against Iraq, and they did what they had to do. So the question for me is just, can they keep it up? And if they can, I think they can beat Belgium. I think Belgium have shown that they just don't have the quality. And I think that their 5 goals they scored against New Zealand was more of a statement about New Zealand's lack of defensive solidity than it was Belgium going forward offensive. A lot of those goals were scrappy. They weren't taken great. They were from deflections or close in on the goalkeeper. So I wasn't totally convinced, even though that they got that win. And then New Zealand obviously scored the goal and gave them a little bit of trouble going forward. So I think Senegal will actually win this game, in my opinion. I think that they will rally around that win that they had against Iraq, and they will kind of turn this boat around. And I think that they also would probably give their manager Pep Shaw a bit of a better idea of what kind of system he wants to play. And I think that they definitely have the ability to keep shutting down Doku, and I think that they also have the ability to shut down Trossard as well. I think both of their midfielders are a little bit more defensive minded. Pape and Idrissa Gana Gueye are both a little bit more defensively minded, which will suit them in this game. It will help them absorb the pressure, and then going out on the attack, Ismaila Sarr, Sadio Mane, and Iliman Ndiaye is a great front three to have when you're trying to spring a counterattack. So I think that this match tactically sets up really well for Senegal, and I think that this for Belgium will kind of be a true test of how good are they really, because Egypt, they didn't look great. Iran held them to a stinker, right? And then New Zealand, obviously, they kind of blew past them. But man, I'm a little torn, but I think that Senegal is going to have enough to win this game. I really do, and I think it's going to go to extra time. It may go to penalties, but I think that Senegal are going to sneak a 1-0 win here in extra time.
All right. It'll be definitely a good match. Any players to watch for you guys? Anybody you're kind of looking forward to seeing how they do and
I
how it
think
goes?
um I think for the Belgium side, I think Trossard, we can keep an eye on him. I think he's going to be the game changer here again.
Yeah.
Ducko's going to be double, triple marked, and he's not going to have much freedom on his side. So I think Trossard's going to be the one to watch here.
Yeah, for me, it's on the other side of the pitch. I think it's Ismaila Sarr for Senegal. He's got 3 goals in his last 2 games, plus an assist. He started out a little bit shaky against Senegal, but he is really hitting his form now. He scored both of those goals against Norway, and they were both really good goals. And this is a player, being a Prem fan myself, I've been watching him since he was at Watford many years ago, and now at Crystal Palace. That when he gets hot, this guy gets hot, and he turns into one of the best wingers in the Prem when he's on his day. So I believe it looks like he's going right now. So if he stays hot, I think he's going to be a tough player to deal with for that Belgian defense, and I think he's going to give him a lot of trouble. So yeah, I would go with Ismaila Sarr. I think if he's on his game, Senegal can
Yeah.
absolutely put a couple past him.
Yeah, no, I think my player to watch would be maybe that would be Yuri Tielemans. I think he is having a pretty decent tournament, quietly getting the job done, doing the defensive duty, also kind of creating and opportunities for everybody else. So that'd be who I have to watch, and that is all we have time for today. So thank you all for tuning up. Who will be the upset of this round of 32? I think this Portuguese team will be the biggest failure and the biggest letdown. They might not make it out of the round of 32. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Egypt. I think Egypt will lose to Australia, and I think Australia will get through. I think Mohamed Salah's tournament ends here.
For me, it's got to be Morocco beating the Netherlands. I think the Dutch, they go home here. Morocco continues on to Canada.
Yeah. All right. Let us know who you think will be the biggest disappointment. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the good things. Share with your friends. Let us know what you think. Are we right? Are we wrong? How wrong are we? How right are we? Let us know. And thank you all for tuning in. Have a good rest of your day, night, morning. Have a good one.